an entire age group in crisis. What's got you so negative?
It's scary to think about the future.
The amount of time that I work, it seems to just be enough to stay afloat.
Your approach is anger and frustration as opposed to working harder.
It's a lot easier to get all doomed and sad about everything.
Is anybody in Gen Z going to make it?
It's just out of our control.
Oh, it's never out of your control. Well, tonight we are diving into a generational crisis. Gen Z, who are currently 12 to 27 years old, have been branded with a chilling moniker, Generation Doom. But what's behind this stark label? What's leaving our youth drowning in a sea of despair? The numbers are really shocking. 42% of Gen Z report constant sadness. 91% are stressed to what they call a breaking point. Over half battle with clinical depression, with suicide being the second leading cause of death for this group. We've got an entire generation questioning not just their futures, but the very existence of the American dream. They're asking, what's the point? What's the point of even trying when faced with the grim reality of crushing debt, unaffordable housing, and unstable jobs? Add in the constant stream of social media negativity, and you've got a perfect storm of despair. But is there a glimmer of hope hidden beneath the gloom? That's what we're here to uncover. Now, our first guest, Nick, has 2 jobs, but says he still has to live in a camper to just survive.
I make over 3 times the federal minimum wage, and I cannot afford to live.
Earlier this year, I had to move out of my mom's house, and I saw the state of the country, and it was a frightening thing to see. Rent is more than my monthly income. The prices of apartments were driving me crazy, so I pulled my phone out and recorded a video about how angry I was.
Another 60 billion to a country nobody can point out on a map.
I posted it on TikTok, and it's at like 3 million likes now, but people in the comment section were just calling me all sorts of names, saying that I don't want to work.
I do not want to hear the pull yourself up from your bootstraps, work 90 hours a week. That's not the goal, guys!
American dream is dead because no matter how hard I work, it seems to get me nowhere. I will never be able to buy a house in my lifetime. They're being bought up by all the big companies, and they're 10 times my salary with a predatory loan. In 10 years, I'll be alone somewhere hidden under a rock.
You're pretty passionate about this.
Yeah, something I deal with every day. It's much easier to, give up, and it frustrates me how hard I try, and it seems to get me nowhere. And I even recorded the video at work. So it's kind of a, situation when all the comments are telling me that I can just work harder while, I was literally at work while recording.
Yeah, so you're at work complaining.
It sounds bad. I was on a 15-minute break. I recorded it in 1 take. I was not on my phone at work.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying that for your employer in case they're watching.
Yeah.
What's got you so negative?
It's mainly getting ahead. The amount of time that I work, it seems to just be enough to stay afloat, to, walk on this thin ice. And the money that I'm able to save, God forbid anything goes wrong, a tire issue, car issue, medical, it's all gone. And it's really just the trying to stay up.
And why do you think your approach to this is anger and frustration as opposed to depression or working harder? I mean, there's a lot of different options you could take.
It's a lot easier to, get all doomed and sad about everything, but when that kind of gets nothing done and it only hurts yourself. But like in my video, I was enraged. And I wanted to start a conversation about it. And a lot of people resonated with the passion, and the language could have been a little bit better, but I I saw many people
I
agree.
thought it was pretty, there's a lot of legitimacy to what you're saying. You take somebody your age, a generation ago, they did anywhere from 10 to 25% better financially than what you're doing right now. And that's your point, right?
Yeah, it's in even bringing that up, people try to invalidate you and bring up little nuances in the argument and say, well, it was just as hard for us. But statistically, it is not getting any easier.
Well, I don't know what they're talking about. You do have a steeper hill to climb right now.
100%.
And on the other hand, there are a lot of opportunities available that maybe weren't available to those people back then because things are expanding at a really rapid rate. There are jobs that are going to be available in the next year, 2 years, 3 years that we don't even know about right now. Things are changing technologically. Do you have any hope that there are things that you may not even know about that are coming up?
It's kind of my only source of hope. I never say no to anything, and I'm constantly on the lookout for things that can help.
When they tell you that it was just as bad then, I mean, let's look at some comparisons between what's going on. Today's 40-year-olds own 25% less wealth than other generations at the same age. Millennials, 28 to 43, are 22.4% behind Generation X, the generation ahead of them, in wealth accumulated. Home ownership rates for under 35 went from 44% in 60 to 34% in 2017. So it's down 10% for a generation. And 49% of Gen Z homeowners relied on family to help with the down payment. So it wasn't as hard a generation ago.
It's a lot of good evidence there, a lot of credibility.
Yeah, it is. We do our homework. Now, on the other hand, you're 20.
Yeah.
And your life expectancy, just roughly speaking, is probably 80.
I hope.
Yeah. 60 years is a long time to be pissed off.
Yeah, and it may get better over time. It's not like I'm sitting around smoking weed, doing nothing all
No, you're not. You're working, but if you're kind of prickly and angry and all, you may not have a lot of opportunities dropping in your lap.
Yeah, I mean, it's just how I felt at the moment, and it was kind of an accumulation of things. I wouldn't say breaking point, but I definitely...
Well, you'd be in the majority because 91% of people in your generation say stress has them at the breaking point because they don't know where to turn. But we're going to keep talking here. We're going to add a young man who says he's just in survival mode. How do I make it to the next day? We're going to meet him after the break. We'll be right back. Whether it's talk of a Nobel Peace Prize or fears of World War III, one thing's certain: uncertainty rules the day. And when the world feels this unstable, your finances are on the line. If Iran blocks the Strait of Hormuz, oil prices could skyrocket just like the 1970s. That triggered inflation, gas shortages, and a weakening dollar. Wall Street's already tense. Goldman Sachs sees sustained recession risk, and JP Morgan warns of a potential oil shock. Add in $36 trillion in national debt, and the financial pressure is real. This isn't hype, it's a wake-up call. The time to act is now. That's why I trust Preserve Gold. When the world turns unstable, smart folks turn to gold and silver. Text Dr. Phil to 50505 to get your free precious metals guide from Preserve Gold. As a bonus, you can get up to $15,000 in free silver with a qualified purchase. So don't wait. Text Dr. Phil to 50505 today.
Oh, you can't afford to live? That's your fault, and you are to blame, is what I've been hearing consistently. I'm so sick and tired of the general consensus that the average Joe is to blame for the reason that they can't survive, that you are the problem. Nobody else is to blame for your life issues. You. It's simply your fault because you got that mocha latte. You deserve to starve.
Well, Nick is not alone in feeling angry and hopeless. 21-year-old Sean says he gets so overwhelmed by doom that most days when he leaves work, he finds himself dissociating in the parking lot and has to literally slap himself back to reality.
I want to tell myself that there was hope for the future. Everyone around me all my life told me that the best years of my life were supposed to be now, but it doesn't feel like I'm living. It feels like I'm just going to work to keep making by, to keep going to work, like Groundhog Day. Today, most people's lives likely look like this. Work till you're 75, have nothing of your own, make your boss richer, and then get sick and die. I literally can't afford to do anything else except go to work and stay home. I was giving my time to a company, my life, only to be able to afford groceries and rent. What used to be considered a problem, workaholics, is now just the standard. And if you're not doing it, you're lazy. Why are we removing so much value from time?
Well, Sean, I'm glad you're here. You say you're in survival mode day to day. What's that mean?
It feels like we've given all of our time now to simply work, to be able to afford to go back to work the next day. There's no more time left for us to just live and spend time with family.
What's it supposed to be like at 21?
Well, I'm aware there is a lot to face and overcome, but I do wish that I was able to aspire to something. I'm not someone who sits around all day. I love work. I work all the time. When I get home, I study, I take personal courses online to try to learn more and really get ahead. But I'm starting to question myself if it's worth giving all that effort if there's nothing to look forward to.
I don't know how y'all feel about this in the studio watching this, but these two weren't chosen at random, because a lot of people say we got a whole generation of young people that are just sitting around whining and playing video games. These are two young men that are unhappy with where they are, but both are working hard every day. Neither one of you guys are lazy, right? I mean, you're both working, but I'll tell you something that I know, and I know some stuff. I'm old. It's not what happens in life that upsets you. It's violating your expectations of what you think is going to happen in life that upsets you. It's that way about getting married. You know, if you get married and you think, oh, it's just going to be wonderful and romantic and sexy and exotic every day, and then you get married and you find out, yeah, it's not exactly that way. You got to share time and space and division of labor and money and all. There are challenges. And you expected it to be like a movie, you're going to be upset. But if you expected that, hey, this is a partnership, we're going to have to share time, space, effort, money, share problems, then you go, hey, this is what I expected. My expectations aren't violated. I'm good. That's why I ask you, what did you expect life to be like when you were 21? Because your expectations are obviously violated. You're getting something different than what you expected.
You're completely right.
Thank you.
I agree. Of course, I was not expecting the billionaire lifestyle. But
What were you expecting? Have you ever asked
I was
yourself that question?
expecting to be able to save up, to work hard and see a result from my work where I see recognition from that, and to be able to save up a little bit to at least aspire to maybe own a home one day. Because that would be my goal. I want to have a family and a home one day. And that feels just as far-fetched as a concept right now and so distant. I can't even set aside any money. Right now, I'm living off of my savings because my income is lower than my car and rent. That's not considering insurance or food or anything else.
Listen, I legitimized your complaint, right? I said, you're right, it is tougher. But are you guys expecting to go too far, too fast, too soon, as opposed to just trying to get up on your feet when you're 21? Are you holding yourself to too high a standard?
To be completely honest, I'm stuck living in the present where just next week's paycheck is so important that it's not even about what expectations I have for the future. I don't even get to think about the future.
Yeah.
So you can't afford to get a head cold right now.
I'm living right now.
Yeah, you're just minute to minute, paycheck to paycheck.
Yes.
Okay.
It's scary to think about the future.
All right. Next, we're going to meet a massage therapist who says she constantly asks herself, what's the point? So much so that she suffered a serious mental health crisis. We're going to add her to this conversation when we come back. Well, tonight, we're talking about an entire age group in crisis, a peer group branded with the moniker Generation Doom. I'm talking about Generation Z. Brooklyn is part of that generation and says that she spends up to 12 hours a day on social media. What could possibly go wrong? She says doom scrolling and rage baiting can make it feel almost impossible to experience any kind of joy or any kind of optimism.
We are the generation that is waking up to the myth of the American dream. I think Gen Z is dubbed the Nihilist Generation because they feel that they have wasted their time and their money pursuing a degree that we were told to pursue, and it's amounting to nothing. I got my degree in political science and liberal arts. I am currently a licensed massage therapist, so I'm not using that degree. I'm currently going back to school because my BA doesn't mean out here. The American propaganda machine sell us this lie of like, work hard, go to school, get a job, buy a house, have a family, and it's all gonna work out. I've had a couple depressive seasons in life. I just screamed until I cried, where I'm just like, I'm working this job, I'm not making enough. If I wasn't with my partner, I'd probably be at home with my mom. It just manifested me retreating. And that creates a really unhappy place in your head. I feel like we're dealing with a lot of these mental health issues, and we don't have the money to afford a therapist. I feel like, what's the point of the 40-hour work week? What is the point of saving my money and budgeting if I don't have enough to save in the first place? And what's the point of having kids? I can't confidently look at even the little ones around me and say, yeah, we're leaving the world in a better place.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
You need to define a couple of terms for some of us that might not know it, like doom scrolling and rage baiting.
Okay. I guess doom scrolling is the concept of literally scrolling for hours and hours and hours, and your algorithm picks up that maybe you've interacted with something negative that further feeds more negative things onto your feed, and it keeps you there. And rage baiting is posts that intentionally make you angry. And I think algorithms and probably tech firms love that because you're gonna comment, you're gonna repost, you're gonna add your opinion, and you could be stuck there for hours.
Do you get caught in that?
I try not to. It'll come up every once in a while. I'll notice maybe 2 hours on the phone, and then I start to get a little headache.
Yeah, how about you?
I don't have any of those apps.
Okay, good for you. Do you realize that you're programming your brain?
Well, I think that's a bit reductive
What about it is reductive?
to just think that like I'm programming myself.
No, you're allowing yourself to be programmed. You can flip that off. Look, I spent a lot of my professional career in the courtroom working with juries. And one thing I learned really fast is that people make decisions based on what they see and hear, not on what they don't see and hear. It won't mean squat. If they don't see it, if they don't hear it, it doesn't make an impression on them. If you're looking at something 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day, and they're pounding on you, boom, 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 they're writing on the slate of who you are. And trust me, that algorithm looks and pays attention to what you're clicking on, what you're looking at, and what gets you upset. Because the more angry you are, the more emotional you are, the more you click. They say money, 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 money.
Exactly.
So you are paying them to get you upset.
And that's why I think it's a dance between big tech and the user. I don't think it's solely on the user.
That's the whole point. It's not on the user.
Yeah.
They're manipulating.
Yeah.
So you're making decisions based on what you see and hear, and what you see and hear is doom and gloom.
Yeah.
I was in private practice for a while, and I had people that I worked with that were depressed and never knew it until they weren't.
Yeah.
Think about that. Can you imagine being depressed your whole life and you never knew you were depressed until you weren't?
Yeah.
I had people that would come out of depression and go, wow, I never knew the sky was blue. So I just thought the whole world was gray, and you just kind of plodded along in life. And you can get caught up in these loops, and you can start talking to yourself that way.
Yeah.
And by the way, we talk 120 words a minute. Now, sometimes Robin will gust up to 160 or 180, but we talk about 120 words a minute, but we think at 12 or 1,300 words a minute. So you can say something, but when you start repeating it, you're repeating it at 10x. And so if you start telling yourself, oh, God, there's no way out of this, I'm stuck, there's no hope, there's no way I'm ever going to get a job that counts, there's no way I'm going to make a difference, you're playing that 10x. Mm-hmm. And it's programming you, and then it starts to be your personal truth. Yeah. And then you start living to what you're programming. And if you change your internal dialogue, there could be opportunities passing you by every day that you don't see. Nothing great ever happened on a television screen, on a phone screen, on an iPad, computer screen. It happens in the real world. And let me tell you, if our future depends on the intellect of young people like you, I feel a whole lot better. You guys are smart. But you got to get in the game. And I'm not telling you pull yourself up by your bootstraps. I'm saying you got to change your internal dialogue, open your filters, start looking for different things. Now, Brooklyn says Gen Z, they feel conned by meritocracy. Do Nick and Sean feel the same? We'll be right back.
I definitely doom scroll every day. My screen time is like 11 to 12 hours. Once you engage with one post, that's what your algorithm is going to be. And I think it starts to shape how you actually feel in the real world. If like rage bait or doom scrolling or whatever is like the only content that you're consuming, it is hard to feel optimistic or joyful about anything.
What do you think about meritocracy?
Well, I just don't think it exists in the US society. I don't think the hardest workers actually reap the biggest reward. And I think your points were talking about that. Like you clock in even after work and you're not seeing the benefits. And then you have people that are just born into wealth. So there's obviously a cheat code there. So I think that there's plenty of proof in our society that meritocracy doesn't exist.
Yeah, I work in software where I program things where I know this company will keep using this product that I create for them for years to come, and it'll help them make much more money than I will be paid for. And once I'm done, it's thank you, goodbye. And then that's it. You don't get any license. If you're coming from an external perspective, working with a company, at least you'll be paid fairly. But as an employee, your only value is based off the time. You punch in, you punch out, and then that's it.
Yeah, what do you think?
The same thing that Sean just said about doing overtime and things like that. When you work at an hourly rate, if you go above and beyond and do extra work, it's recognized occasionally if you're lucky, but it just feels kind of, I don't want to say hopeless, but putting in that extra work doesn't reward you as much as they said it would. Doesn't matter, 15 years later, they'll fire you for sickness or something.
Well, you know what my generation said? They said, hey, you go in, you give it all, you work for 20 years, you work for 30 years, and at the end they give you a gold watch and put you out to pasture. So you didn't invent this story. Let me ask you this. Is anybody in Gen Z going to make it?
Yeah, of course. We got some good minds in Gen Z, and
why not you?
I'm trying. I'm definitely
Well, I think you always have anomalies with every generation, but I think...
Why aren't you an anomaly? Why don't you become an anomaly?
You got me fired up.
Well, I do think that I'm at this intersection of a lot of social locations, being a woman, being Black. I think there's a lot of structural things that create barriers for some of us to become those anomalies. But I think that we should steer away from pointing to anomalies as proof that, hey, you can make it, they did.
Do you have a personal truth?
Yeah, but I guess how I view myself and how I'm perceived in the world are two different things.
Well, I'm not asking about the world, I'm asking about you.
Yeah.
And the reason I think that's important is because I think we generate results in life we think we deserve. Whatever we believe about ourselves.
Partially.
If we think that we have barriers, if we think we have boundaries, if we think that we aren't going to get somewhere, we definitely won't. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't other obstacles to overcome, but if we approach those believing that they're going to contain us, believing they're going to hold us back, I guarantee you they will.
Structural barriers sometimes take precedent over individual will. And I think that history and disciplines like social work can be proof of that.
Yeah, sometimes it's just out of our control. Even when we want, the world puts barriers where we
Oh, it's never out of your control. It may be an influence, but the only person you control is you.
Right.
You can talk about systemic racism. You can talk about all kinds of glass ceilings. You can talk about everything in the world. And trust me, you will not change all of that in your lifetime.
Right.
But what you control is you.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody has a different journey. Everybody has a different hill to climb. And every one of us is in business for ourselves. You are a company of one, and you are the CEO of Nick.
Amen.
And my question would be, how you doing? You are the CEO of Sean. How you doing? You are the CEO of Brooklyn. How are you doing? And if you're telling yourself, well, you know, I'm a female and, you know, I'm stuck in Texas. And,
Well, it's not something I'm telling myself. There's measurable evidence that there are barriers for some of us. I don't think that it always has to hold you back.
That just means the hill you're climbing is steeper. It doesn't mean you don't have to climb it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm forced to, yeah.
Yeah, so why would you tell yourself, you know, the hill's too steep, I gotta climb it. I'll spend 12 hours a day on social media telling me that I'm not gonna make it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's funny that like your own personal like mind frame could be compared to something structural. Like I don't think those can be compared, to be honest.
The only person you should ever compare yourself to is you.
Yeah.
You don't control anybody but you.
Right.
Let me tell you, everybody has something that they've got to deal with. I grew up poor. My father was an alcoholic, a violent alcoholic. I mean, there were times in high school that I lived on mustard and ketchup sandwiches if we could find bread.
Yeah.
I lived in an apartment with no utilities for a year because we couldn't afford the deposits.
Yeah.
I get it. Different journey than you went down, but trust me, it wasn't easy.
Different generation, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so you can say, well, that didn't matter, you had it easier. There were times it didn't feel easy, but you know what? I had to decide what my currency was, what I had to offer that could distinguish me. I didn't have the clothes. I finally got a car, but it didn't have reverse. So you never park downhill.
Yeah.
Because you ain't backing up.
And I think that's an awesome story, and I think there's a lot of anomalies that have stories like that. I don't think we can make sweeping generalizations based off of an awesome success story.
You don't have to make a sweeping generalization. You have to decide you are the CEO of Brooklyn. How are you doing? What is your plan? Are you doing things that you can answer some important questions?